Each night, a candle is lit, and the whispering tomes open. Inside are the strange, the forgotten, the stories time tried to silence. Some say history is written by the victors, but here the lost are given voice. Breathe deeply, and follow me into the hidden chapters of history. You stand among the ancient Celts. The day begins in stillness. You wake to the rustle of barley stalks, shifting in the cold morning breeze, their golden heads heavy with the weight of harvest now past. The air is crisp, laced with frost that clings to the grass, and every breath you take carries the mingled scents of damp soil, wood smoke, and the faint sweetness of apples stored in woven baskets. Your roundhouse is warm from the embers of last night's fire, but when you step outside, the chill wraps around you like a cloak. The ground is soft and wet beneath your bare feet, dew soaking into the worn leather of your shoes. Dogs stir, tails thumping lazily, while a flock of crows circles overhead, their voices harsh in the pale light. This is not an ordinary day. It is Samhain, summer's end, winter's beginning. The boundary of the year, the time when the harvest is finished, when the herds are culled, when the veil between worlds is thin as morning mist. Already, preparations are underway. Men sharpen their knives, the scrape of stone on steel carrying across the village. The first cattle are led to the pen, their breaths rising in white plumes against the chill. The weaker animals will not see another spring. The smell of fresh blood soon mingles with the damp air, sharp and metallic, a reminder that life and death walk hand in hand on this day. Women move steadily through their tasks. Some grind barley and oats at the quern, their bodies rocking with a rhythm older than memory. Others prepare barmbrack, the heavy fruit bread of the season. You watch as one woman presses small tokens into the dough before it bakes. A coin for wealth, a ring for marriage, a stick for hardship, a piece of cloth for poverty. When the bread is shared later, each slice will carry not only sweetness but prophecy. Nearby, hazelnuts are gathered into baskets, their shells smooth and brown. They will be roasted in the fire tonight, pairs of nuts placed side by side, to divine whether lovers' unions will hold steady or crack apart with sparks. Apples too are piled high, their skins red and gleaming, ready for games of divination and chance. Children weave between the houses, their laughter softer than usual. Subdued by the gravity of the day, each clutches a small charm, a sprig of rowan, a carved piece of bone, a knotted cord, protection against the spirits that drift close when the sun fades. Elders tie hawthorn branches above doorways, whispering words too faint to catch, charms carried from countless generations before. As the day wears on, the druids move among the people. Cloaked in white, they examine the offerings laid out, cloth dyed in bright colors, figures carved from wood, baskets of grain, and tokens of honey and milk. Their voices are low, their presence commanding. They prepare not only for the living but for the unseen, those who walk freely when darkness falls. By afternoon, the air is filled with a rhythm of work and expectation. Grain is stored, meat is salted, herbs are bundled and tied with twine. Children chase one another around the roundhouses, but even their play carries an undercurrent of unease. The sky darkens earlier than you wish, the sun slipping behind clouds, leaving the land in shades of grey and gold. One by one, the hearths are extinguished. The familiar glow of firelight vanishes from the roundhouses. Replaced by shadow, smoke no longer rises. The village grows quiet, the silence unnerving, as though the world itself holds its breath. Now the procession begins. Families gather, carrying unlit brands of wood, walking the worn path to the sacred hill. Their steps are muffled by grass, damp with dew, their cloaks drawn tight against the growing cold. You hear the distant lowing of cattle, restless and uneasy. Overhead, the first stars pierce the dusk, pale points of light in a sky already deepening toward black. At the summit, the pyres wait, stacked high with oak, ash and thorn. They loom like dark beasts against the fading sky. The druids kneel, their hands steady as they prepare the ancient fire. You hear the creak of wood against wood, the slow turning of spindle in socket. A faint wisp of smoke curls upward, sharp and sweet. Then, with a sudden breath of flame, the pyres roar to life. The fire's heat surges outward, washing across your face, pushing back the shadows. Families drive their cattle between the twin blazes, the animals trembling but passing through. The smoke clings to your clothes, rich with oak and ash, marking you as protected from these sacred flames. You take your brand. The torch feels heavy in your hand, its fire dancing in the wind. You know it will rekindle your hearth, bringing sacred light back into your home for the long winter nights. But the fire does not banish everything. As the night deepens, you sense a change in the air. A fragrance drifts on the wind, flowers blooming out of season, sweet and wrong for this time of dying leaves. The AOC are near. The fairy host moves unseen, terrible in beauty. You draw your cloak close and whisper the old prayers, hoping their ears do not catch your breath. Later, the games of divination begin. Children bob for apples in wooden tubs, their laughter mixing with the crackle of fire. Young women peel apples in long curls, tossing them over their shoulders, hoping the letters of future lovers' names will appear in the fallen skins. Elders roast hazelnuts side by side, watching carefully. If they burn quietly together, love will endure. If they leap apart with sparks, quarrels lie ahead. The barmbrack is sliced and shared, each piece revealing its secret. A ring sparks laughter and blushes, a coin brings shouts of joy, a stick is met with silence and uneasy glances. Each omen is noted, tucked away in the heart as a map for the year to come. The night grows colder, the fire burns lower, its embers glowing red like fallen stars. Around you, voices soften, the air heavy with smoke, mead, and the faint perfume of sacred herbs. Children drift to sleep against their mothers' cloaks, while men and women murmur in low tones. The weight of centuries seems to press upon the hill, the presence of unseen watchers lingering at the edge of firelight. Your eyelids grow heavy, the warmth of the flames, the scent of bread and smoke, the rhythm of distant voices, all fold around you like a blanket. You drift, half waking, half dreaming, as the stars wheel overhead. The fire hisses, the wind shifts, time itself blurs, and gently, carried on smoke and starlight, you feel yourself slipping forward into another age, another Halloween yet to come. It is the late 14th century, the heart of the Middle Ages. On this All Hallows Eve, the world feels smaller, cloaked in faith and superstition. The morning begins with mist. It hangs low over the cobblestones, softening the edges of timber-framed houses and the crooked line of thatched roofs. The air is cool and damp, filled with the smell of wet earth, wood smoke rising from chimneys, and the faint yeasty fragrance of dough being kneaded for the day's bread. A blacksmith's hammer rings from his forge, sharp against the stillness, sparks flying as he shapes iron for hinges and horseshoes. Pigs root noisily in the mud at the lane's edge, their grunts blending with the cluck of hens scratching for grain. A boy drives geese toward the river, their white feathers flashing in the grey light, their honks echoing down the narrow street. Life moves steadily, but beneath it all, a hush lingers, a sense that this day is not quite like the others. By midday, preparations are well underway. Inside a small cottage, women press dough into round cakes, marking each with a cross before sliding them into the heat of a clay oven. The smell is rich and sweet: butter, honey, nutmeg, and cinnamon, the scent of soul cakes. These will be given to children who knock at the door, each cake exchanged for a whispered prayer to ease a soul's passage through purgatory. The churchyard is busy too. Candles are lined in neat rows, beeswax soft beneath the fingers of the priests, who set them carefully in iron stands. Holy water is sprinkled along the stone nave, and incense is prepared: frankincense, resinous and sharp, myrrh, dark and heavy. The smell is strong enough to cling to your clothes, promising to fill the church with golden smoke by nightfall. Elsewhere, turnips are hollowed into lanterns. The sound of knives scraping through pale flesh is rhythmic, steady, and the air carries the sharp green scent of raw vegetable mingling with the softer aroma of tallow candles waiting to be placed inside. Faces are carved, crude, jagged, grinning, some frightening, some comical. When the candles are lit, they will glow in doorways and windows, guardians against wandering spirits. But not all preparations are Christian. You notice sprigs of rowan and hawthorn being tucked into windowsills, a horseshoe nailed above a doorframe, mothers murmuring charms as they set their children to chores. These are remnants of older ways, the heartbeat of Samhain, steady beneath the new face of All Hallows. The Church had long understood that it could not erase such traditions. Centuries earlier, Samhain had marked the end of harvest, the thinning of the veil, a time of fire and offerings to gods and spirits. To banish it was impossible. Instead, the Church gave it new meaning. All Saints' Day was placed here, on the 1st of November, transforming a festival of spirits into a feast of the holy dead. All Souls' Day followed soon after, shifting the focus from fairies and ancestors to the souls waiting in purgatory. The rhythm of the year remained, but it was baptized in incense and bells. Where once food was left at thresholds to appease wandering spirits, children now carried prayers for the dead in exchange for cakes. Where once charms were hung to ward off fairies, turnip lanterns now glowed in Christian households. Old rituals endured, clothed in new names. Evening settles. The mist thickens, curling around the timber frames, glowing faintly in the light of lanterns hung above doors. Small groups of children wander the lanes, cloaked against the chill, their voices rising in song. Soul, soul, for a soul cake I pray thee, good woman, a soul cake. 1 for Peter, 2 for Paul, 3 for him who made us all. A door creaks open. Warm light spills into the night. The woman within offers each child a cake, the cross still visible on its brown surface. The smell of honey and spice drifts outward, clinging to the cool air. In return, the children whisper prayers, soft, reverent, their words carried away into the mist. Elsewhere, the geysers gather. Young men and women don crude masks, stitched leather, painted cloth, bundles of straw tied to faces. Their disguises blur identity, allowing them to slip into roles of mischief and play. They roam the lanes in groups, laughter sharp in the dark, some carrying wooden swords, others rattling noisemakers. At a wealthy merchant's door, they perform a short mummers' play, the tale of St. George and the dragon, good triumphing over evil, light conquering dark. Their voices rise in the still air, the story familiar, comforting, yet still touched with something older, something that whispers of winter nights and sacred fires. From the tavern comes the scent of ale and roasting meat. Inside, men raise wooden cups, their laughter mingling with the scrape of fiddles and the heavy stamp of boots on packed earth. The windows glow with lamplight, distorted through diamond-panned glass, and the air outside carries the warm fugue of smoke, sweat, and song. Night deepens. The church bells toll, their bronze voices rolling across the village. Inside the stone walls, rows of candles blaze, filling the air with sweet incense smoke. Villagers kneel on worn benches, their voices blending in low hymns, prayers for the souls of the departed. The candlelight glows against the cold grey stone, softening its edges, turning the church into a haven of warmth and gold. Yet beyond the walls, the old ways still linger. Lanterns burn in doorways, their grotesque faces staring into the mist. Dogs bark uneasily, horses shift in their stalls, stamping hooves against the wood. The fog seems alive, thick with presence. You sense the thinness of the veil, that same heartbeat of Samhain, pulsing beneath the hymns and bells. Midnight comes. The bells toll again, solemn and slow, marking the passage into All Saints' Day. The prayers continue, but your thoughts grow heavy. The scents of smoke, bread, incense, and damp earth mingle into one steady fragrance that wraps around you like a blanket. Your eyelids lower, the cobblestones soften beneath your feet. Lantern light blurs into fireflies in the mist. And as the bells fade into silence, you feel yourself carried forward once more, deeper into history, toward another Halloween night yet to come. It is the year 1601, the twilight of the Renaissance. You stand at the edge of a narrow cobblestone street, the air cool against your face, carrying the sharp scent of wood smoke and damp leaves. Above you, the rooftops lean in crooked lines, their timber beams dark with age, their windows glowing faintly with candlelight. Bonfires burn on the hillsides beyond the village. Their flames twist in the night wind, like golden banners, bending and snapping in the darkness. You draw your cloak tighter, but the chill still seeps through the cloth, settling heavy into your bones. Children hurry past, clutching lanterns carved from turnips. Their jagged grins flicker in the mist, shadows spilling over the cobblestones. One of the lanterns turns toward you, and for a heartbeat, you feel as though the carved face is watching. A shout breaks the quiet. Laughter follows, rough and sharp. Masked youths march past you, rattling chains, banging pots, their boots striking hard against the stones. They push by in a rush, their masks leering, their eyes hidden deep in shadow. One brushes your shoulder, and though he is gone in an instant, the weight of his stare lingers. You step quickly toward the churchyard, where beeswax and incense hang thick in the air. Inside, priests chant, their voices echoing against the stone walls. The rhythm is steady, low, unchanging. The candle flames shiver with each draught. Shadows shift across the pews. You kneel with the others. The cold floor presses into your knees. Prayers rise around you in Latin, but at the edges of the crowd, you hear whispers, charms spoken under the breath, remnants of an older faith. Later, you walk again through the misty lanes. In one square, a wooden tub sits filled with water. Apples float on the surface, their skins shining red and gold. A young woman leans forward, her hair dipping toward the water. She snaps at the fruit, her teeth clacking against the skin. Laughter bursts out, quick, nervous, but beneath it you hear something else, a hush, as if the night itself is listening. You pass a row of cottages. Girls stand outside, peeling apples into long, curling strips. They toss the ribbons over their shoulders, shrieking as the shapes fall into crooked letters in the dirt. You glance down, and though you see only twisted curls of fruit, a shiver crawls across your skin. The fog thickens. Bonfires crackle in the distance, their smoke mixing with the damp night air. Somewhere, in the dark, a dog begins to bark. You pause in the street. Lantern light glows faintly in the fog, warping into faces you cannot quite name. The night feels restless, alive, as though something presses against the veil, waiting to be let through. You take another step forward, and the cobblestones feel slick beneath your feet. The mist clings low, brushing against your ankles like a living thing. From a nearby doorway, you hear a low murmur, a woman whispering charms over a child. Her voice is quick, hushed, almost fearful. You catch fragments, a prayer against sickness, a plea for protection before midnight. The air smells of tallow and smoke. You pass a cottage where a horseshoe has been nailed above the door, polished bright from countless hands touching it for luck. Rowan branches are tucked into the window frames, their red berries glowing faintly in the firelight. Even here, in an age of printing presses and scholars, the old symbols hold fast. You hear a sudden sound, the tolling of a church bell. The note is heavy, slow, echoing through the mist. Villagers pause in their steps. A few cross themselves. Others mutter under their breath, eyes flicking nervously toward the shadows. Further along the street, you see a crowd gathered around a woman. Her hair is wild, her clothes ragged, her hands stained with herbs. Some call her healer, others witch. Children peer at her from behind their mother's skirts as she lays herbs at the base of a lantern, whispering into the flames. A man spits into the dirt, muttering that she should be watched more closely. You feel the tension coil tight, the line between wisdom and witchcraft thinner than the mist itself. As the night deepens, you climb the slope toward one of the great bonfires. The heat washes over you, sharp and biting after the chill. Men throw bundles of herbs into the flames. The smoke rises sweet, sharp, bitter all at once. Rosemary, sage, and a resin you cannot name. The sparks leap high into the night sky, like stars escaping the earth. Cattle are driven past the fire, their hides gleaming in the light. The animals bellow and strain, but still they are pushed between the flames. The smoke clings to their coats, marking them with protection for the year to come. The same smoke curls into your own hair, your own clothes, and you feel it linger on your skin, warm and heavy. The crowd's voices rise, half in cheer, half in prayer. You stand among them, and for a moment, it feels as though the centuries have folded, that you stand not in the Renaissance, but in some far older world, where fire is both god and shield. The bonfire roars, flames reaching higher than the rooftops. Its heat beats against your face, bright enough to sting your eyes. You step closer, and the world outside its glow feels swallowed by darkness. The crowd murmurs as more herbs are cast into the flames. Each offering hisses and pops, bursts of scent rising into the night. Rosemary for remembrance, sage for cleansing, a pinch of salt to guard the soul. You breathe it in, the smoke thick and bitter clinging to the back of your throat. Children clutch at their mother's hands, eyes wide and unblinking. One boy buries his face in his cloak, refusing to look at the fire. His mother strokes his hair and whispers that the flames will keep the spirits away, but her voice shakes, and you can hear the doubt in her tone. Elders stand near the blaze, their faces lined and solemn. One traces a cross in the air, another mutters in the old tongue, words you do not recognize. The villagers pretend not to notice, but you see the sideways glances, the fear of mixing sacred prayers with ancient charms. A gust of wind rushes over the hill, bending the flames sideways. For a moment the fire seems to split, as if an unseen figure had walked straight through its heart. Gasps ripple through the crowd. Someone whispers that the AOC are near, the fairy host, terrible in beauty, passing unseen through the smoke. You feel it too. A shift in the air, a presence pressing close, just beyond the reach of the firelight. The hairs on your arms rise, the back of your neck prickles. It is as though the flames are not only keeping you warm, but holding something back. The villagers tighten their circle around the fire. Mothers draw children closer. Men grip their staffs more firmly. The laughter that once carried from the apple games and lanterns has faded. Only the crackle of the fire remains, loud in the silence. Then, slowly, voices begin to rise in prayer, low, wavering at first, then stronger, as the words spread from one mouth to another. Latin phrases, half-remembered chants, pleas for protection. The fire snaps, sparks leaping into the sky like fleeing stars. You watch them scatter, carried into the mist, as if they too are searching for safety. For a moment, the veil between worlds feels thinner than ever. You close your eyes and breathe deep, the smoke filling your lungs. Somewhere beyond the flames, beyond the voices, beyond the night, something waits. The prayers falter, then fade. The fire still burns, but its warmth does little to ease the unease pressing close around you. You hear the whispers now, not of spirits, but of people. A woman's name drifts on the cold air. She lives at the edge of the village, alone since her husband's death. They say her garden grows herbs that heal and herbs that harm. They say she knows which roots can cure a fever and which can stop a heart. Another name follows, an old man, toothless and bent, who mutters to himself as he walks the lanes. Children throw stones at him, but he never curses them aloud. Still, when sickness takes a cow or a child, his silence is taken as proof. You stand in the crowd, listening as these whispers sharpen into certainty. A cough becomes a curse, a strange look becomes evidence. The fire that once guarded against spirits now feels like a warning for the living. The church bell tolls again, slow and heavy. Each note seems to draw the whispers tighter, winding them like rope. Some cross themselves more fervently, others spit into the dirt, muttering about the devil's servants walking in their midst. You catch sight of a girl near the fire. Her eyes are wide, her face pale. Two men grip her arms, not harshly, not yet, but firmly enough that she cannot slip away. Her lips move soundlessly, perhaps in prayer, perhaps in protest. The villagers around you lean in, eager, fearful, hungry for a name to blame. The fire crackles louder, spitting sparks that rise into the night. The girl stares into the flames as though she sees something there you cannot. And you wonder, if she is guilty, what bargain has she struck? If she is innocent, will the fire know the difference? The fire spits and crackles, throwing sparks into the night sky. The whispers coil tighter, circling the girl near the blaze. But you know this fear is not born tonight. It has been building for decades, spreading like smoke across all of Europe. In these years, the very word witch carries more weight than any ghost or spirit. The Protestant Reformation has shattered the old order, and the Catholic Church fights to hold its ground. Both sides agree on one thing. The devil has servants, and they walk among the living. The old festival of Samhain once marked the turning of the year, when the veil was thin, when the dead might walk. But here, in the Renaissance, that veil carries a new fear. It is no longer only the dead who are believed to cross over. It is witches, slipping through the night to consort with spirits and demons. Pamphlets are printed and passed from hand to hand, filled with lurid tales of midnight gatherings and secret pacts. Scholars write long treatises on witchcraft, filled with strange confessions and cruel instructions. And the common folk, hearing these stories, begin to see witches in every shadow. You feel it in the air around the bonfire. Every herb thrown into the flames is not just an offering, but a ward against the devil's servants. Every prayer muttered under the breath is a shield against the fear that a neighbor, a friend, even a family member might be marked. The girl by the fire trembles as the villagers stare. Perhaps she has done nothing more than gather herbs for a sick child. But tonight, on All Hallows Eve, when the line between life and death is thin, Suspicion is enough. This is what Halloween becomes in the Renaissance, no longer only a night of spirits and the dead, but a night haunted by fear of the living. A night when bonfires burn not only for the ancestors, but to push back the devil and his witches. The fire burns lower, but the village does not sleep. You step away from the hill and wander back into the lanes, where new voices rise from the mist. Groups of children drift door to door, their hands outstretched, asking for small cakes. They call them soul cakes, round, sweet, marked with a simple cross. Each cake given earns a prayer for the dead, a whispered promise that a soul in purgatory will be remembered tonight. This is no game, no childish fancy. It is a holy exchange, bread for prayer, food for salvation. And yet you notice the way some children smile as they clutch their cakes, the way some laugh as they dart into the fog, crumbs falling from their hands. Even in devotion, play finds its place. In Scotland and Ireland, the custom shifts. There, young men and women wander in disguise, faces hidden beneath masks of straw, cloth, or soot. They knock at doors, performing songs, reciting verses, or offering jests. This is called guising, a night when the living borrow strange faces to confuse the spirits and earn food or drink in return. You see them now in your mind's eye, a group approaching a doorway, voices raised in rough harmony. They beg for ale, for bread, for coins, and if they are refused, they rattle their noisemakers, bang on the shutters, and march off in mischief. It is not yet trick or treat as you know it, but the bones of the custom are here, growing from ancient roots. The old rituals of Samhain, the prayers for the dead of All Hallows, the masks of guisers, the begging of the poor, all tangled together in this night. And you walk among them, feeling how the layers of history press close, how the meaning of Halloween shifts with every generation, yet never truly breaks. The night deepens. The laughter of geysers drifts away into the mist, leaving only the low crackle of dying fires. You walk slowly through the lanes, the stones damp beneath your feet, the smell of smoke woven into your cloak. The soul cakes are gone now, eaten or saved for the morning. Children lie asleep by the hearths, their mouths still sweet with sugar and spice. And yet, even in their dreams, prayers rise, words for parents, for grandparents, for souls unnamed, wandering still in the long shadow of purgatory. You pause at a crossroads. The moon is hidden behind clouds, the air heavy with silence. In one direction, you imagine the old world, the Celts of Samhain, their fires blazing against the darkness, their charms tied to doorways. In another, you see this new world, villages filled with both faith and fear, where prayers for the dead mingle with suspicion of witches. The two feel layered, as though you are standing on ground worn thin by centuries of footsteps. Every prayer, every charm, every flame laid upon a pyre has left its mark on this night. And though the faces change, though the songs shift, though the fears take new shapes, the heart of Halloween remains. You hear the bells toll midnight, their voices roll across the hills, heavy and solemn, marking the passage into All Saints' Day. The prayers continue, low and steady, but around them the old whispers linger. Lanterns burn low in the doorways, their carved faces collapsing into ash. The mist folds in around the village, carrying with it the weight of another year's turning. You breathe deep, the air cold and sharp, and feel yourself slipping once more. The cobblestones soften beneath your feet, the glow of the bonfires fades into sparks, scattered into the dark. And as your eyelids grow heavy, you realize that this night, this All Hallows Eve of the Renaissance, is only one page in a much longer story. For Halloween is never still. It changes, it bends, it takes on new faces, yet always returns when the veil grows thin. From ancient Celts to medieval prayers, to the fears of witches and geysers in the mist, all of it lingers, all of it breathes through this single night. And as the bells toll once more, you feel time itself shifting. The world blurs at the edges, and you are carried forward, toward the next chapter of Halloween. It is now the year 1887, in the heart of the Victorian era. You walk along a gaslit street, the lamps burning dim through a shroud of London fog. Horse-drawn carriages rattle on the stones, their wheels echoing off tall brick buildings. The air smells of coal smoke, damp wool, and the faint sweetness of roasted chestnuts from a vendor's cart. This is an age of invention and empire, but also of superstition. Spiritualism has taken hold, and parlors glow with candlelight as mediums call upon the dead. Families gather around tables, hands joined, waiting for raps on the wood, waiting for voices from beyond. You feel the hush in the air, the anticipation, as though the veil is about to part at the whisper of a name. Halloween in the Victorian age is both celebration and séance. Children carve lanterns from turnips and pumpkins, their jagged grins glowing in the mist. Young women peer into mirrors by candlelight, hoping to glimpse the face of a future husband behind their own reflection. And in the drawing rooms of great houses, guests sit in a circle as a medium's voice trembles, claiming to channel the dead. Literature feeds this fascination. You pass a bookshop window and see the titles glimmer in the gaslight. Frankenstein, Dracula, The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. These stories catch fire in the imagination, blending with the old tales of ghosts and witches, giving Halloween a darker, gothic edge. In villages across Britain, the night still holds echoes of older customs. Children wander in disguise, reciting verses for food or coins. But here, in the cities, Halloween becomes something more refined, more theatrical, a night for costumes, games, and ghost stories told by firelight. The fog curls thicker now. You hear a clock strike the hour, its chime rolling across the narrow streets. Somewhere behind a shuttered window, a group begins to sing, their voices low and haunting, songs of souls, of saints, of those unseen. The sound mingles with the distant clip of hooves, the faint rattle of carriage wheels, until it feels as though the city itself is murmuring with ghosts. The street fades behind you, and you step into a warm parlor lit by gaslight and candles. The wallpaper is heavy with floral patterns, the curtains drawn tight against the night. A fire burns low in the grate, its glow catching polished wood and brass. Around the room, guests sit expectantly, their hands folded, their voices hushed. A table stands at the center, its surface bare except for a few flickering candles. The medium arrives, a woman in black silk, her veil shadowing her face. She asks the guests to join hands, and as you place your palm against your neighbor's, you feel the warmth of their skin trembling slightly against yours. The medium begins to murmur, her voice low, calling into the unseen. At first there is nothing, only the hiss of the fire, the tick of the clock. Then, a sharp rap on the table, a gasp ripples through the room. The medium's voice grows stronger, declaring that a spirit has arrived. The candles flicker wildly, and for a moment the air feels heavier, pressing down on your chest. Victorian fascination with death gave rise to nights like this. With so many lives claimed by sickness, by war, by the sheer weight of a hard world, families longed for proof that their loved ones lingered. Séance and spirit boards became as much a part of Halloween as games and songs, each parlor a place where the living dared to touch the edge of the veil. But not all was solemn. In the same houses, when the séance ended, laughter returned. You see bowls of water set out for apple bobbing, candles lit for games of fate. Young women peel apples, tossing the long strips over their shoulders, hoping they will form the letters of a future husband's name. Others gaze into mirrors in darkened rooms, candles flickering at their sides, straining to glimpse a face beyond their own. The parlor hums with both superstition and play, each game a blend of laughter and unease. Books rest on the tables, their covers dark and enticing. You glance at a copy of Frankenstein, its pages worn from many readings. Nearby lies Dracula, the name alone stirring dread and curiosity. These stories become part of Halloween itself, tales read aloud by firelight, feeding the imagination with shadows and monsters. No longer is the night only for saints or spirits, it becomes a night for storytelling, for terror cloaked in entertainment. And beyond Britain, across the wide ocean, a new Halloween begins to take shape. You picture ships docking in New York, in Boston, in New Orleans, carrying Irish and Scottish immigrants who bring their customs with them. Turnips give way to pumpkins, their broad faces easier to carve, their glowing grins brighter in the autumn night. Children in America begin to play the same games, to carve the same lanterns, to carry forward the old ways into a new world. Yet here, in the Victorian age, the night is still heavy with smoke and song. Outside, the fog presses against the windows, dimming the glow of the lamps. Inside, you sit with the others, torn between fear and fascination, between laughter and unease. The voices of saints, of spirits, of lovers yet unknown, all seem to swirl together in the candlelight. This is Halloween in the 19th century, part séance, part parlor game, part Gothic story whispered at midnight. A night of shadows and revelations, of faces glimpsed in mirrors, of names hidden in curling apple peels. A night that reaches back to the Celts, forward to America, and deeper into the imagination than ever before. The candles in the parlor gutter low, and the games give way to music. You are ushered into a grand hall, its chandeliers glittering with 100 tiny flames. Velvet drapes fall heavy along the walls, and the floor gleams from fresh polish. Tonight, the wealthy host a masquerade. Masks of satin, leather, and feathered wings hide the faces of the guests. Some wear domino masks, simple and elegant. Others arrive dressed as harlequins, spirits, or ghouls, their laughter ringing high above the music. You walk among them, your own mask warm against your face, the fabric carrying the faint scent of powder and perfume. This is Halloween for the Victorians, not only prayers and charms, but pageantry. Costumes blur the line between jest and dread, between theatre and ritual. In one corner, a group tells ghost stories, their voices low, their words winding like smoke through the crowd. In another, fortune-tellers spread cards across velvet cloth, promising glimpses of love, of wealth, of the year ahead. The influence of Gothic literature hangs over everything. You hear guests whisper of Dracula, of dark castles and pale figures in the night. Others recount the monkey's paw, a tale of wishes gone wrong, their faces pale as though the story itself might reach into the room. Even the laughter seems touched by unease, as if no amount of candlelight can keep the shadows fully at bay. Across the Atlantic, these same traditions begin to take root. In America, Irish immigrants carve jack-o'-lanterns from pumpkins, their wide orange faces easier to shape than turnips. Lanterns are set on porches, their crooked smiles both ward and welcome. Children roam in disguise, echoing the guises of Scotland, but now with songs, with chants, with playful demands for sweets. The seeds of modern trick-or-treat are sown here, in these mingled customs of old and new. Back in Britain, you feel the night pressing forward. The music of the masquerade slows, replaced by a storyteller's voice. The guests lean close, the masks set aside, as he recounts a tale of a headless rider, a phantom bride, a spirit that walks each year at Halloween. The listeners shiver, but none move away, drawn deeper into the spell of words. The Victorians love such stories, for they live in a world balanced between science and superstition. The telegraph carries messages across continents, yet mediums still claim to carry messages from the grave. Steam engines race through the countryside, yet charms of iron and rowan still hang in cottages. It is a world caught between progress and fear, and on Halloween, both meet in the glow of lanterns and the hush of candlelit rooms. As the night wanes, you step outside once more. The fog curls thick around the lampposts, swallowing the edges of the street. You hear distant voices, some singing, some laughing, some whispering, all fading into the dark. The air is cool, tinged with coal smoke, damp stone, and the lingering sweetness of chestnuts roasting in the square. This is the Victorian Halloween, a night of parlor games and séances, of masked dances and whispered tales, of old customs reborn in new ways. It is no longer only a festival of spirits or saints, it is becoming something broader, a season of mystery, of entertainment, of mingled fear and fascination. And as the lamps burn low and the city fades into mist, you feel the turn of time once more. The streets blur, the laughter softens, and you are carried forward into the new world of the 20th century. It is the year 1925, the early decades of the 20th century. You walk along a small American street, the houses close together, their porches lit with carved pumpkins. The air is cool, filled with the smell of fallen leaves, wood smoke from chimneys, and the faint sweetness of caramel bubbling on a stove. Children race past you in costume. Some wear simple masks of paper or cloth. Others wrap themselves in sheets, pretending to be ghosts, their laughter spilling into the night. They knock on doors, their voices rising together. Trick or treat. This phrase is still new. It echoes the old guising of Scotland, the souling of medieval Europe, the mischief of Renaissance youth. But here in America, it takes on a brighter tone. No longer prayers for the dead, but playful demands for candy, for cakes, for pennies. You pause at a doorway as a woman steps out, her apron dusted with flour. She drops small cookies into waiting bags, smiling as the children cheer and scatter into the night. Behind her, a bowl of apples waits for bobbing, a party game carried forward from centuries past. The street glows with lanterns, not turnips but pumpkins, their orange faces carved wide, their light spilling warm across the steps. These jack-o'-lanterns have become the emblem of the season, easier to carve, brighter to burn, a symbol both ward and welcome. Halloween, in the early 20th century, is still finding its shape. In some towns, mischief rules the night, fences pulled down, wagons overturned, windows soaked and gates unhinged. In others, churches and schools host parades and parties, guiding the night toward community and festivity. You drift into a hall decorated with paper skeletons, black cats and witches cut from card. Children bob for apples, pintails on donkeys, and dance in circles as the piano plays. Adults sip cider, sharing ghost stories in corners, their voices low but smiling. The holiday is shifting, less fear, more play, but always with shadows in the corners. By the 1950s, Halloween has become a true national celebration. You walk through a suburb now, the houses neat, the porches glowing with jack-o'-lanterns. Children parade in store-bought costumes, cowboys, princesses, skeleton, spacemen, their bags filling with candy from door after door. The phrase trick or treat rings clear in every neighborhood. No longer strange, but expected. Television carries the holiday further. Cartoons and specials bring ghosts and pumpkins into every living room. Magazines print guides for costumes and party games. Candy companies flood the shelves with sweets wrapped in orange and black. Yet, even here in this polished suburban world, you feel the old heart of Halloween beating. Behind the masks, behind the laughter, behind the glow of carved pumpkins, there is still the sense of something ancient, the bonfires of the Celts, the prayers of the medieval faithful, the geysers of Scotland, the witches feared in the Renaissance. All of them echo here, reshaped, reborn. You walk slowly down the quiet street, the laughter of children fading behind you. The air is cool and sharp, carrying the scent of leaves and wood smoke. And as you pass beneath the glowing faces of the jack-o'-lanterns, you know that Halloween has become not just a night, but a tradition carried across generations. By the 1960s, Halloween had grown beyond porches and parades. It was no longer just a night for children. Teenagers gathered for parties, with bowls of punch and haunted house games lit by blacklight. Adults joined in as well, hosting masquerades where costumes grew bolder, stranger, more elaborate. You step into one such party, the music crackling from a record player. Paper skeletons dangle from the ceiling, their joints loose on metal pins, swaying as the guests brush past. Orange and black streamers coil along the walls, and bowls of candy gleam in the light. The air smells of wax from dozens of jack-o'-lanterns, their carved faces glowing wide and mischievous. By the 1970s, Halloween became something more, something darker. Horror films began to shape the season itself. You walk past a theater, its marquee blazing with titles: Night of the Living Dead, Halloween, Friday the 13th. Crowds file inside, their laughter nervous, their eyes wide as the screens flicker with shadows and screams. For the first time, the terrors of the silver screen join the bonfires, the soul cakes, the geysers, a new layer of fear stitched into the night. Haunted houses rise as well, not the crumbling estates of gothic fiction, but attractions built to frighten. You step through one, cobwebs brush against your cheek, recorded moans echo in the halls, and figures leap from the dark with painted faces and rubber masks. Guests shriek, then laugh, clutching each other's arms as they stumble forward. Halloween has become theater, a night where fear is staged, sold, and sought after. The costumes change too. Where once they were homemade, sheets for ghosts, paper masks for animals, now they are mass-produced. You see them hanging in a shop, plastic masks with elastic bands, shiny suits folded into bright cardboard boxes. Children press their faces to the glass, choosing whether to be a skeleton, a vampire, a superhero, or a monster. The holiday is no longer only rooted in faith or folklore, but in commerce and imagination. Yet beneath the plastic, the pumpkins still glow, the laughter of children still rings against the autumn air, and you feel the echoes of centuries past, of turnip lanterns in Scotland, of geysers demanding bread, of villagers gathered by the fire. Halloween has become brighter, louder, more public, but its soul, its mystery, remains. We take you to 1983, and Halloween glows brighter than ever. You stand on the edge of a suburban street, the houses lined neatly in rows, each porch lit with the grin of a jack-o'-lantern. The air smells of damp leaves, wax candles, and chocolate. Children swarm the sidewalks, their costumes brighter, louder, more colorful than any century before. Plastic masks gleam under streetlights, molded faces of skeletons, witches, clowns, and heroes. Their elastic bands snap tight against hair, their eye holes wide and unblinking. You hear the rustle of vinyl suits, shiny and crinkling, as children run from door to door. Each carries a plastic pumpkin pail, its hollow body already filling with candy bars, lollipops, and gum. The phrase "trick or treat" bursts across the night like a chorus. Porch lights flicker on, doors swing wide, and bowls of candy are emptied into waiting hands. The wrappers gleam in the dark, orange and silver, black and gold. For a moment, the street feels like a river of costumes and voices flowing endlessly into the autumn night. You pause at a doorway where a woman hands out full-sized chocolate bars, her costume little more than a witch's hat, perched on her head. Children cheer, racing away with treasure. Another house offers caramel apples, their sticky sweetness catching the glow of the porch light. The night is indulgence, abundance, a feast of sugar and spectacle. But the 1980s Halloween is not only for children. Teenagers roam the streets in larger groups, their costumes looser, their laughter sharper. Some drag wagons filled with toilet paper and shaving cream, ready to streak the trees and soap the windows of unlucky neighbors. The old mischief of Halloween still lingers here, echoing back to geysons and pranks centuries before. And then there are the horror films. You pass a video rental store, its windows plastered with posters. Halloween 2, A Nightmare on Elm Street, The Evil Dead. Inside, rows of VHS tapes gleam beneath fluorescent lights, their covers bold with slashing knives and monstrous faces. Teenagers crowd the aisles, choosing the night's fright to watch with friends. The glow of televisions across the neighborhood flickers with screams and shadows, as living rooms turn into private haunted houses. The music of the era hums through the night. From one house, Thriller plays loud, Michael Jackson's voice joined by Vincent Price's iconic laugh. Children dance on driveways, their costumes flashing in the strobe of porch light. The beat blends with the crunch of leaves underfoot, with the shouts of trick or treat, with the whisper of autumn wind. You pass a school gymnasium, its doors thrown open for a Halloween dance. Orange and black streamers hang in long folds from the ceiling. Paper ghosts dangle above the crowd. The floor shakes with music as teenagers move beneath the glow of colored lights, their faces hidden behind cheap masks and painted makeup. Back on the streets, you notice the sheer abundance of candy. This is the decade of brands, of fun-sized wrappers, of candy corn sealed in plastic bags. Children empty their buckets onto living room floors, sorting chocolate bars into neat piles, trading licorice for lollipops, gum for peanut butter cup. The sight is overwhelming, an autumn harvest transformed into sugar. And yet, in the 1980s, shadows still creep. News broadcasts warn of tampered candy, of razor blades in apples, of strangers not to be trusted. Parents check wrappers carefully before a treat is allowed. The fears are louder than before, carried by television and radio, spreading across towns and cities. For some, the old whispers of spirits and witches have become the new whispers of modern dangers. Still, the night continues. Children laugh, parents watch from porches, teenagers wander under the glow of street lamps. The neighborhoods pulse with life, with light, with color and sound. Halloween has become a spectacle, a tradition woven into the fabric of American culture. You pause beneath a streetlight, the mist curling faintly around its glow. The air is filled with sugar and smoke, laughter and music, fear and joy. And in that moment, you feel all of Halloween, ancient bonfires, medieval prayers, Victorian séances, suburban porches, folding together into one night. The year drifts forward. It is still the 1980s, and Halloween glows brighter with every passing autumn. You step off the quiet suburban street and into the warm neon hum of an arcade. The floor is sticky with spilled soda, the air sharp with electricity, and rows of machines blink with pixelated ghosts and monsters. Children in plastic masks clutch quarters in their hands, sliding them into Pac-Man, Space Invaders, and Ghosts and Goblins. Each screen feels like its own haunted house, glowing, buzzing, daring the player to survive another level. Later, you walk into a shopping mall, its halls decorated with paper bats and cardboard pumpkins. Storefronts gleam with racks of costumes in glossy boxes, each one printed with bright pictures of smiling children. You see Freddy Krueger masks beside Care Bears, Dracula beside Star Wars heroes. In the 1980s, Halloween belongs to everyone. Monsters, superheroes, cartoons, and clowns, all mingling together beneath fluorescent light. Television shapes the season too. You remember the specials: Charlie Brown waiting for the Great Pumpkin, Scooby-Doo chasing shadows through haunted mansions, sitcom families dressing in costumes for one night each year. The glow of the TV becomes part of Halloween itself, drawing families together to laugh, to gasp, to share the rhythm of the season. You step outside once more, and the smell of popcorn, candy, and cool night air folds around you. Teenagers walk past, their costumes inspired not by ancient spirits, but by the silver screen. Jason Voorhees with his hockey mask, Michael Myers in his coveralls, Freddy with his striped sweater and clawed glove. Some wear rubber masks so thick they shine with sweat, their breathing loud and ragged beneath the latex. Others smear grease paint across their faces, their eyes glinting wild in the streetlight. Fear itself has become fashion. You notice the rise of the candy companies. Shelves overflow with bite-sized bars, each wrapped in bright foil, each packaged for Halloween alone. The holiday has become their harvest, a night when millions of hands reach out and millions of wrappers crinkle in the dark. Trick-or-treat bags bulge heavy, children staggering beneath their weight, the smell of chocolate and sugar thick in the air. Arcades, malls, movies, and candy, this is the 1980s Halloween. It is bigger, louder, more colorful than any before. Yet still, beneath the neon and plastic, you feel the same pulse that carried from the Celts, the Victorians. Masks still hide faces, lanterns still glow against the night, and the veil even here feels thin, a quiet reminder that Halloween has always been more than a costume, more than a sweet. The year is 1987, and Halloween is everywhere you turn. You walk past a movie theater, its posters glowing in the night. Ghostbusters 2 looms large, the Marshmallow Man towering above the skyline in painted ink. Children run through the lobby with plastic proton packs strapped to their backs, their costumes humming with cheap lights and stickers. They chant the lines they know by heart, "Who you gonna call?" their laughter echoing into the street. Later, you hear another name, whispered with delight and fear: Beetlejuice. The striped suit, the wild hair, the smirk that feels both comic and unsettling. Teenagers mimic his voice, quoting scenes in cracked imitations. Halloween in the 1980s is no longer only haunted by witches and ghosts, it is haunted by pop culture itself. You step into a grocery store, its aisles glowing under harsh fluorescent lights. Cardboard displays rise high, draped in cobwebs of plastic. Boxes of Count Chocula, Frankenberry, and Boo Berry grin back at you, their cartoon faces cheerful, their marshmallows shaped like bats and ghosts. Children beg for the cereals, tugging at their parents' sleeves, pointing at the colorful boxes stacked like treasure. Even breakfast carries the season. In the toy aisle, shelves shine with costumes and plastic props. Pumpkin pails, witch hats, vampire fangs that glow faintly green in the dark. You hear the crinkle of plastic as children tug costumes from hooks, pressing them against their chests, deciding who they will become for one night only. Commercials play endlessly on glowing televisions. Candy companies promise bigger bars, brighter wrappers, sweeter nights. A McDonald's ad shows children in ghost and skeleton costumes, their buckets filling with fries and milkshake. Soft drinks release cans dressed in orange and black, promising Halloween magic in every fizz and pop. The holiday is no longer just a night, it is a season, filling the shelves, filling the screens, filling the imagination. And still, as you step outside, you feel the old Halloween beneath it all. The pumpkins carved by hand, their candle flames fluttering in the cold air, the crunch of leaves beneath your shoes, their smell sharp and earthy, the laughter of children, the thrill of masks, the warmth of a porch light against the dark. Even with neon, even with commercials, even with cereal mascots grinning from cardboard, the night still feels ancient. The 1980s gave Halloween a face of plastic and neon, of video stores and cereal aisles, but it also gave it permanence, weaving it deep into pop culture, into television, into every corner of the calendar. For the first time, Halloween was not just remembered, it was marketed, celebrated, mass-produced. And yet, when you stand beneath a streetlight, the fog curling around you, the pumpkins glowing on porches, you realize that the heart of the night has not changed. The veil is still thin, the shadows are still watching, and the echoes of centuries still walk beside you in the mist. The night deepens. The laughter of children fades into the distance, their costumes vanishing into the glow of streetlights. The smell of sugar, of plastic masks and wax candles lingers in the air around you. For a moment you stand perfectly still, listening to the hum of televisions, the rustle of candy wrappers, the distant echo of Thriller playing from an open window. And then the sound softens. The neon lights blur at the edges, their colors melting into streaks of orange and green. The crunch of leaves underfoot fades into silence until the ground itself feels weightless beneath you. The fog rises thicker now, curling around your body, wrapping you in its cool embrace. You close your eyes, and in the darkness, images begin to flicker. Posters of horror films, arcade screens glowing, cereal mascots waving from cardboard boxes. Each one fades, dissolving like smoke, until only the pumpkins remain, their grins floating in the mist, candle flames dancing in hollow eyes. They flicker once, twice, and then vanish. You drift forward, carried on the current of time. The air grows sharper, the night cooler, the world reshaping around you. You feel the buzz of new machines, the glow of new screens, the thrum of voices speaking into the future, and as the fog parts, you open your eyes to find yourself standing in the 1990s. The year is 1993. You stand on a quiet street as the glow of porch light spills across the pavement. Children race past in costumes brighter, softer, safer than the hard plastic of the 1980s. Their faces are painted, their masks now made of cloth and foam. Store-bought costumes flood the aisles of every department store, Superheroes, cartoon characters, witches, and vampires, all wrapped neatly in plastic bags. You walk past a house where a group of children carry pillowcases instead of buckets, their fabric stretched heavy with candy. The smell of chocolate and caramel drifts through the air. Trick-or-treating has become an empire of sugar, each doorstep an altar of wrapped sweets. Yet this is also an era of new fears. Parents walk alongside their children, flashlights in hand, their eyes sharp against the night. Television whispers, warnings about poisoned candy, about strangers lurking, about dangers hiding behind every porch light. The joy of the holiday remains, but it is shadowed by caution, shaped by headlines and news anchors. Inside living rooms, the glow of television sets defines the season. You hear the voices, the Simpsons playing their treehouse of horror specials, each one a parody, a nightmare, a comedy, all at once. You see the rise of films like Hocus Pocus, bright and playful, giving the holiday a whimsical face for children, and beside them, darker stories thrive: Scream, Candyman, The Blair Witch Project, each one etching new fears into the fabric of Halloween. By the early 2000s, neighborhoods shift. Some houses sit dark, their lights turned off, their doors closed against trick-or-treaters. Others blaze with decorations, inflatable pumpkins swaying in the yard, strobe lights flashing against plastic tombstones, speakers hidden in the grass, whispering howls and screams. Halloween has become louder, brighter, bigger than ever before, but also divided. A holiday of choice, embraced by some, avoided by others. You step into a store in October, and it feels like another world. Entire aisles glow orange and black. Masks stare down from high shelves. Skeletons hang from racks. Candy stretches in endless rows. Halloween is no longer a single night. It has become a season, beginning weeks before the 31st, woven into every commercial and every display. Yet, even here, in this modern age, the echoes remain. The costumes may change, the candy may multiply, the decorations may grow gaudy and strange, but the heart of Halloween still lingers in the shadows. It is in the glow of the jack-o'-lanterns, still carved by hand, still burning against the night. It is in the laughter of children running into the dark. It is in the quiet hush, the breath you hold, when you wonder if, just maybe, the veil is still thin. You walk farther down the street, but something feels different. Not every porch glows with a jack-o'-lantern now. Some houses are dark, their lights switched off, their curtains drawn tight. Where once the entire neighborhood was alive, now the crowd feels thinner, the night quieter. Parents talk of safety. They whisper about strangers, about poisoned candy, about dangers hiding in the shadows. And so a new custom begins to rise. Trunk or treat. You find yourself in a church parking lot, the ground lit by lamps instead of lanterns. Cars are lined neatly in rows, their trunks open wide, decorated with cobwebs and paper ghosts. Children walk from car to car, their costumes flashing under the bright lights, their pillowcases and buckets filling quickly. The candy is plentiful, the smiles are wide, but the night feels different. There is no wandering, no mist, no thrill of knocking on an unknown door. Parents watch from folding chairs, chatting as their children circle the lot. It is easier, safer, cleaner, but as you stand there, you feel something missing, the mystery, the uncertainty, the magic of stepping into the night and wondering what waits at each door. Halloween in the 2000s shifts. Some families still walk the old streets, their children darting from house to house beneath the glow of pumpkins. The air carries the sound of laughter, the crunch of leaves, the thrill of mystery. Each door is a chance, each porch a small adventure, but others do not bother. They gather in parking lots, where trunks are opened like vending machines. Every candy bar is certain, every smile rehearsed, every step watched under the cold glare of electric lights. There is no risk, no wonder, no magic in the unknown. It is easier this way, they say, safer, cleaner, more convenient, but in truth it is lazier. It is the choice to trade mystery for management, tradition for control, the spirit of wandering, of stepping into the night not knowing what waits is lost. You watch as children shuffle between cars, their laughter thinner, their eyes darting, not into the shadows, but only to the next open trunk. The world has been made smaller for them, boxed into painted cardboard displays and paper skeletons taped to car doors. Parents smile, proud of their convenience, blind to the truth that they have stolen something from their children, the adventure, the independence, the courage of facing the dark. And in that caution, in that comfort, a piece of the ancient spirit slips away. The bonfires once roared to guard against spirits. The prayers once rose for the dead. The geysers once walked with masks to trick the fair folk. Now some sit beneath floodlights in parking lots, content to let the heartbeat of Halloween fade into routine. And yet, Halloween refuses to die. Even as some trade mystery for parking lots, others cling fiercely to the night itself. The streets may grow quieter, but elsewhere the darkness grows louder. You step into a warehouse, its walls lined with plywood, its halls painted black. The air smells of fog machines, latex, and dust. This is the haunted attraction, born from theatre, sharpened by fear. Actors wait in shadows, their masks wet with sweat, their breath hot against the rubber. Chainsaws roar, strobe lights flash, and the screams of guests rise and fall like waves. Here, Halloween is no longer only for children. It is for anyone who dares to walk the corridors of fear. Step back outside, and you find yourself staring into a storefront that appears overnight. Its sign is bold, temporary, a banner stretched across a vacant strip mall. Spirit Halloween. Inside, the shelves groan beneath masks. Fog machines, animatronic monsters that lurch and growl when you pass. Families wander the aisles, their children pulling plastic scythes from bins, their parents laughing nervously as rubber spiders leap from boxes. For a few weeks each year, these stores become cathedrals of costume and candy, proof that the holiday has grown too large to be contained by porches alone. And then there is the internet. You feel its hum in the background of everything, a new kind of firelight, glowing not from pumpkins, but from screens. On message boards and chain emails, stories spread like whispered curses, tales of killers, of curses, of rituals gone wrong. Children dare each other to summon Bloody Mary in the mirror, to pass along haunted chain letters that promise death if ignored. Later, the stories grow longer, darker, reshaped into creepypastas, tales of Slender Man, haunted games, cursed videos. In the glow of monitors, a new kind of folklore is born, one that haunts bedrooms instead of crossroads. The 2000s carve Halloween into every corner of culture, malls, warehouses, the internet itself. It is bigger, louder, brighter, and yet still shadowed by the same unease, the same thinness of the veil. From bonfires to jack-o'-lanterns, from soul cakes to candy bars, from whispered charms to chain emails, the holiday evolves, but never loses its heart. The night quiets, the hum of televisions fades, the glow of Spirit Halloween stores dims, the neon of the arcades flickers out. You stand alone in the mist, the air cool against your face, the silence pressing in from every side. For a moment it feels as though you are suspended between centuries. You hear echoes, the chanting of druids around ancient fires, the tolling of church bells in medieval towns, the rattle of masks in Scottish guising, the laughter of children in 1950s suburbs, the roar of chainsaws in haunted houses. All of it swirls around you, voices layered like a chorus carried on the wind. You close your eyes and the sound shifts. The whispers of chain emails become the chime of cell phones. The flicker of VHS tapes becomes the glow of streaming screens. The bonfires of old become LED jack-o'-lanterns, their faces glowing bright without heat, without flame. You feel the world tilting forward. The mist part, the ground beneath your feet changes. Cobblestones becoming concrete, parking lots stretching wide, houses gleaming with polished siding and glowing windows. A hum rises in the air, not the low chant of priests or the buzzing of arcades, but the endless thrum of Wi-Fi, of digital voices drifting invisibly all around you. And as you open your eyes, you realize you have stepped into the near present. Year is 2018, and Halloween is everywhere. You walk down a suburban street, and Halloween feels louder, brighter, more theatrical than ever before. Lawns have become stages, each one a performance in orange and black. Plastic tombstones lean in crooked rows across the grass. Fog machines hiss, spilling pale smoke that coils around your shoes. Animatronic witches cackle over bubbling cauldrons. Ghosts swing from tree branches, their white cloth fluttering in the night air. Inflatable pumpkins tower high above porches, their round faces glowing in the dark. Every yard competes, each display bigger, louder, brighter than the last. The costumes have changed too. You see more than masks and vinyl suits now. Children wear outfits stitched with sequins, foam armor, painted faces. Teenagers and adults join in as well, dressed as movie heroes, anime characters, video game icons. Cosplay has entered Halloween, raising the bar with every passing year. The internet hums beneath it all. On glowing screens, new folklore spreads. The creepypastas. You read of Slender Man stalking the woods, of haunted video games that twist reality, of cursed images that should never be opened. Children whisper these stories at sleepovers, daring each other to repeat the names, to look in mirrors, to test the legends. A new kind of folklore has been born, carried not by campfires or village squares, but by forums, chat rooms, and endless streams of tech. By the mid-2010s, Halloween grows even larger. Theme parks host sprawling, haunted nights, fog-filled streets, actors in masks, leaping from shadows, rides transformed into nightmares. Community haunted houses spread across towns, each one bigger and more elaborate than the year before. Halloween is no longer just a holiday, it has become an industry. And then, the world changes. The year is 2020. The streets grow quiet. The parties vanish. The parades and haunted houses close their doors. A pandemic settles across the world, and for the first time in decades, Halloween seems uncertain. Yet, even here, the holiday adapts. Families turn their yards into full haunted stages, displays larger than ever before. The 12-foot skeleton rises, its hollow eyes glowing down on empty sidewalk. Social media carries the craze, photos and videos shared thousands of times, the giant figure becoming an icon of Halloween in a year when people could not gather. On TikTok and YouTube, new traditions spark. Short clips tell ghost stories in seconds. YouTube channels like Shadows and Wonder appear telling gothic horror stories. Urban legends spread through viral videos, curses, shadow figures, voices caught on phone microphones. Halloween lives not only in the streets, but in the screens held in every hand. By the 2020s, the holiday is global. In Japan, tens of thousands flood the streets of Shibuya, dressed in costumes both playful and frightening. In Mexico, the bright colors of Dia de los Muertos weave alongside American pumpkins and candy. In Europe, festivals blend old folk traditions with the bright commercial glow of American Halloween. What began with bonfires and prayers now stretches across the entire world. And yet, beneath the inflatables and LED lanterns, beneath the cosplay and viral videos, the old heart of Halloween remains. The jack-o'-lantern still burns on the porch. The mask still hides the face. The night still hums with mystery, with laughter, with fear. The veil is still thin. And as you stand in the cool air of the 21st century, you realize that Halloween has never been only about the dead. It has always been about the living, daring to dance with shadows for one more night each year. The year is 2025, and Halloween has never been bigger. You step into the gates of Universal Studios, the night alive with color, sound, and fog. This is Halloween Horror Nights, and it has become more than an event. It is a pilgrimage for the faithful of fear. The air hums with anticipation as thousands pour through the streets, their voices rising above the roar of chainsaws and the shrieks of costumed actors. Each alley is filled with fog so thick you can barely see your own hands. From the mist, creatures lunge, vampires, clowns, monsters from film and nightmare. Their masks gleam under flashing strobes, their movements sharp and sudden, designed to send shivers through even the bravest. The haunted houses themselves stretch like labyrinths, each one themed to horror's greatest legends. You wander through corridors styled after haunted mansions, cursed hospitals, and scenes pulled straight from the silver screen. Every room is alive with sound, with scent, with detail so rich it blurs the line between theater and reality. Other parks follow suit. Disney hosts Mickey's Not-So-Scary Halloween Party, where pumpkins smile along every path and parades glitter in orange and gold. Knott's Scary Farm in California fills with fog, with costumed ghouls roaming the streets, chasing guests through mazes of wood and wire. Even regional parks transform, each one carving its own version of Halloween from rides and stages. Haunted houses outside the theme parks multiply as well. You pass an abandoned factory, converted into a scream-filled maze, its walls painted in fluorescent gore, its ceilings dripping with chains. Small towns host their own haunted trails, winding through fields and forests, where costumed actors wait with lanterns and laughter to guide you deeper into the dark. Some are professional, ticketed and polished with sound systems and strobe lights. Others are homemade, built in backyards and barns, their plywood walls rattling as friends and neighbors leap out to frighten. But all of them share the same truth: haunted houses are more popular now than ever before. The year is 2025, and Halloween is no longer just a night. It has become an industry. Every October, billions of dollars move like shadows, pouring into candy, costumes, decorations, haunted houses, and parties. And you walk through it now, drifting from one piece of the Halloween economy to the next, feeling the weight of its growth all around you. You begin with candy. The shelves stretch endlessly in the supermarket, row after row, wrapped in orange and black. Pumpkins smile from plastic bags, bats flutter across cardboard boxes. Every major brand transforms itself for this season alone. Snickers and Reese's, Kit Kat and Hershey's, all wrapped in special packaging. Limited runs that vanish when November arrives. The air itself smells sweet. Chocolate, caramel, peanut butter, scents that linger as you pass each aisle. Children tug at their parents' sleeves, begging for one more bag, one more flavor. And the numbers are staggering. Billions spent each year, fun-sized bars packed into bowls, poured into buckets, dropped into the waiting hands of costumed children. You imagine the houses on Halloween night, bowls piled high, wrappers shining in porch light, the chorus of trick or treat rising again and again, hands dropping candy into bags until the plastic stretches, until pillowcases bulge, until children stagger beneath their weight. Candy is not just part of Halloween anymore, it is one of its pillars. But candy is only the beginning. You walk farther, and you find yourself in a costume store. Racks stretch endlessly, each one crammed with characters, monsters, heroes, and icons. Children's costumes glitter with sequins, glow-in-the-dark paints, soft fabrics, far removed from the stiff plastic of the 1980s. Superheroes and princesses, witches and skeletons. Every shelf a fantasy waiting to be worn. Adults crowd the aisles as well. Halloween is no longer only for the young. Vampires with velvet coats, clowns with masks of latex and foam, elaborate costumes rivaling those of conventions. Some spend weeks sewing fabric, painting props, crafting armor. Others swipe cards and leave with bags of store-bought perfection. Costumes have become another empire, another billion-dollar wing of the holiday. And still, it grows. Decorations now rival Christmas in size and scope. You step outside and walk into a neighborhood transformed. Lawns overflow with inflatable pumpkins, their faces glowing from within. Animatronic witches stir cauldrons, their voices recorded but sharp enough to chill the air. Skeletons crawl from the ground, zombies lurch against fences, ghouls swing from trees. Every yard competes with the next. Some focus on fright, filling their lawns with blooded corpses, chainsaws, and screaming figures. Others lean toward whimsy, with smiling ghosts, cartoon bats, and black cats glowing with LED eyes. The neighborhood becomes an arms race of imagination. Who has the brightest lights, the loudest sounds, the most towering inflatable? The question echoes across the block, answered each year with bigger displays, heavier fog, louder screams. You wander into a spirit Halloween store. It has appeared overnight, carved into the bones of an abandoned strip mall. Its aisles are packed with masks, props, costumes, and decorations. Fog machines line one wall, each spitting mist into the air. Animatronic monsters wait silently until a motion sensor trips and they spring to life, shrieking, lunging, claws swiping through the space. Children scream and laugh. Parents smile nervously. The air filled with both fear and fun. Spirit Halloween has become its own cathedral, a place of pilgrimage each year, where families wander wide-eyed, imagining their own yards transformed, their own costumes perfected. It is temporary, fleeting, vanishing in November, but while it stands, it is the heart of the Halloween economy. And then there are the haunted houses. You step into one now, a vast warehouse, painted black, divided into winding corridors. The air smells of dust, fog juice, and latex. Screams rise all around you as actors leap from shadows, their masks slick with sweat, their movements sharp and sudden. Each room is a scene, a graveyard, a mad scientist's lab, a haunted hospital. Every corner designed to scare, every scare designed to sell. Haunted houses are businesses now. Tickets sold, lines stretched across parking lots, advertisements plastered on billboards and buses. For some towns, these haunts are the center of the season, drawing thousands every weekend in October. The screams are as profitable as the candy. Step back outside and you see the full scope of it all. Candy, costumes, decorations, haunted houses, together they are an economy worth billions. A machine that grows larger every year. Halloween has become one of the most profitable holidays in the world. And yet, beneath the receipts and the neon displays, the old spirit still lingers. The veil is still thin. The night is still alive. And the heart of Halloween still beats, steady beneath the weight of its own abundance. You step into the mist again. The air grows cooler, the ground softer beneath your feet. And when the fog parts, you find yourself no longer in America, but walking into the wide streets of Tokyo. Here, Halloween has grown into a festival of light and color. The district of Shibuya floods with people, tens of thousands in costume. You see superheroes and monsters, witches and robots, anime characters with wings stretching high above the crowd. The streets glow with neon, orange lanterns swaying above, the air alive with voices and laughter. It is not trick-or-treating here, but celebration, a carnival of masks, of cosplay, of transformation. The Japanese love of costume and performance has wrapped itself around Halloween, turning it into a parade of imagination. And you walk through it, dazzled by the scale, caught in the rhythm of music, swept up in the endless tide of people. The mist folds in again, and you step out into Mexico. Here, Halloween is not alone. It stands beside Dia de los Muertos, the Day of the Dead. You see altars built in homes and plazas, covered in marigolds, sugar skulls, photographs, and food for the departed. Candles burn bright against the night, their flames steady, their smoke carrying prayers into the air. Children still dress in costumes, still carry buckets for candy. But here the holiday mingles with remembrance. The veil feels thinner, but gentler. You sense not only fear, but love. Families welcoming their ancestors back for one night, blending the shadows of Halloween with the warmth of reunion. The fog rises, and you step into the damp streets of Dublin. Here the roots of Halloween lie deep in the soil, stretching back to Samhain. The Irish have reclaimed the festival, celebrating it with parades, bonfires, fireworks, and costumed revelry. You see torchlight reflected in the River Liffey, hear music rising through the streets, feel the old and the new layered together. It is both history and holiday, ancient ritual reborn as modern festivity. In Ireland, Halloween is not imported, it has come home. The mist curls once more, and you find yourself in the United Kingdom. Here the holiday was once subdued, eclipsed by Guy Fawkes night and bonfire celebrations, but American influence has rekindled it. Children knock on doors for sweets, their voices rising in accents that carry the same old phrase, trick or treat. Pumpkins glow in windows, costumes line the shelves of supermarkets, parties spill into pubs and schools. It is a Halloween reborn, reshaped by television, film, and the global tide of culture. The fog drifts further east, and you arrive in Germany. Here, Halloween is newer, but growing fast. Shops stock pumpkins, costumes, and candy. Clubs throw elaborate parties. Theme parks host haunted night. The people still hold to their own autumn traditions. Walpurgisnacht, All Saints' Day, but Halloween is carving its place alongside them. You hear music, see masks, feel the blending of old and new, tradition and import, shadow and play. Southward, the mist carries you to Brazil. Halloween here is called Dia das Bruxas, the Day of the Witches. Though not as widespread as Carnival, it grows each year, with costumes, school parties, and decorations filling more streets. Children laugh, teenagers celebrate, adults join in. The old world and the new meet here too, as Brazil adds its own rhythm to the chorus of Halloween. The fog curls again and you find yourself in Australia. Here, October is spring, not autumn. Yet children still knock on doors, still carry buckets, still dress in costumes that echo those of the Northern Hemisphere. Pumpkins glow on porches despite the warmth of the season, proof that Halloween has no single climate, no single country. It adapts, reshapes, takes root wherever imagination allows. And then the mist draws back. You realize that Halloween has become global, not bound by soil or sky, not kept to one nation or faith. It is a language spoken in masks, in fire, in laughter. It shifts its shape, ancestor veneration in Mexico, cosplay in Japan, candy and costumes in America, parades in Ireland, but always carries the same pulse beneath, the same fire, the same shadow, the same veil. You breathe deep, and the air carries every scent at once. Marigolds from Mexico, smoke from Irish bonfires, caramel from American kitchens, perfume from Japanese costumes. It all blends together, as though the world itself has gathered in one place for this single night. Halloween has become a global heartbeat, and you are standing within it, one figure among millions, all connected by flame, by mask, by story. You linger in the mist. It is neither one place nor another, but all places at once. And here the voices of Halloween gather. You hear them clearly, the Celts chanting beside roaring fires, medieval bells tolling across stone towns, Renaissance whispers, accusing and fearful, Victorian parlor games, laughter hushed and trembling, the chorus of trick or treat rising from American streets, the chants of revelers in Tokyo, dressed in masks and wings, the songs of families in Mexico, singing for their dead. All of it echoes in the fog, layered like 1,000 heartbeats. You walk forward, and the air shifts with every step. At first it smells of wood smoke, heavy and thick, then incense, sharp and sweet, clinging to the air of stone chapels. Then the sticky sugar of candy, wrappers crinkling, chocolate melting against warm hands. Then the clean bite of autumn air from a German field, carrying frost across the grass. Then marigolds bright and floral, their petals glowing even in the dark. Then salt from the Pacific, where Japanese crowds flood the streets in waves of costume and neon. Each scent is different, but together they make a single perfume, the fragrance of Halloween itself. You realize then that Halloween is not a line. It is a wheel. It turns with each season, each year, carrying old rituals forward into new forms. What began with fire becomes candlelight, becomes neon, becomes LED, but always remains flame. What began with masks of straw becomes porcelain, becomes plastic, becomes latex and cloth, but always remains disguise. What began with prayers for the dead becomes songs, becomes candy, becomes celebration, but always remains remembrance. You breathe slowly, and the fog fills your lungs. It tastes of centuries, bitter, sweet, sharp, warm. A blend of everything you have walked through. A reminder that no matter where you stand, the season finds you. The wheel turns again. Children will laugh. Candles will burn. Masks will hide faces. The veil will thin. And you, like all who came before, will walk through it. You close your eyes in the mist. The sounds fade. The scents soften. The visions dissolve. But the feeling remains steady, patient, eternal. Halloween does not end. It waits, year after year, mask after mask, flame after flame. It waits in the fog, in the fire, in the laughter, in the silence. And it will wait for you again. Halloween has become a season, no longer confined to a single night. It stretches across weeks, beginning as soon as October dawns, and often earlier. Stores fill with decorations by late summer. Social media floods with costumes, makeup tutorials, pumpkin carvings, and viral videos of elaborate yard haunts. October itself has become a stage, each day marked by a new event, a new story, a new way to play with fear. And yet, as you stand in the middle of it all, in the roar of a theme park, in the screams of a haunted house, in the glow of jack-o'-lanterns on porches, you feel the old heartbeat of the holiday. The masks are more elaborate, the crowds larger, the screams louder, but beneath it all, it is still the same night. A night when the living gather to dance with shadows. A night when the veil feels thin, whether you walk through a fog-filled maze or down a quiet neighborhood street. The night is quiet now. The parades have ended. The lights of haunted houses have dimmed. The street stands still beneath the weight of autumn. And yet, you remain here, standing within Halloween itself. A holiday that has never truly belonged to one time or one people. It belongs to every age. Close your eyes and listen. You hear the crackle of bonfires on Celtic hills, their flames roaring against the coming dark. You hear the tolling of medieval bells, their heavy voices carrying prayers for souls long gone. You hear the laughter of geysers, masks tied with straw and cloth, their voices sharp in the Scottish mist. You hear the whispers of Renaissance villagers, fearful of witches, their eyes darting toward the fire. You hear the rustle of Victorian parlors, as guests gather for séances and games of fate. You hear the crack of VHS tapes sliding into players, the neon hum of arcades, the chorus of Trick or Treat in the 1980s. You hear the buzz of cell phones, the glow of streaming screens, the distant laughter of children in the 2000s. You hear the roar of chainsaws in haunted houses, the shrieks of actors in fog-filled parks, the pulse of Halloween in the 2020s. All of it together, layer upon layer, century upon century. The voices mingle until they are one sound, the eternal heartbeat of Halloween. You open your eyes and the world shifts again. You see firelight, but it changes with every blink. Once it is a torch carried by a Celt, once it is a candle flickering in a medieval church, once it is a lantern glowing on a Victorian street, once it is a pumpkin grinning from an American porch. The flame is always the same, but the faces around it change. You walk forward, and the air fills with scent, smoke from oak and ash, incense heavy in stone chapels, sweetness of soul cakes, the sharp bite of cider, the sticky perfume of caramel apples, the wax of plastic masks, the sugar of candy bars, the faint electric hum of fog machines and neon lights. Every scent is different, and yet together they are all the perfume of Halloween. The ground beneath you shifts. Cobblestones, dirt paths, creaking floorboards, suburban sidewalks. You feel each step across centuries, each footfall leading you deeper into the same night. And the veil is always there, thin as mist on the Celtic hills, thin as the smoke in a churchyard, thin as the silence in a haunted house. You feel it pressing close, a presence that has never left. You pause. The jack-o'-lantern glows at your side, its crooked grin flickering in the dark. Behind it, you see faces from every age, painted, masked, hidden, and revealed. Children with paper masks, women with veils before séance mirrors, men with carved lanterns guiding herds through smoke, neighbors with store-bought costumes, laughing in the street. They all look to you, as though asking you to remember them. And you do, because Halloween is never just the present. It is always the past as well. Every generation adding another mask, another flame, another voice in the chorus. You breathe deep. The air is sharp, filled with the scent of burning leaves. It is a fragrance that belongs to every autumn, every century. Smoke curls upward, carrying the crackle of oak and ash, mingled with the sweetness of damp earth beneath your feet. Another layer comes, the wax of candles, dripping slowly into hollow pumpkins, the faint spice of apples roasted and bobbed for, their skins splitting in the heat, the syrupy perfume of caramel melting on the stove, clinging to the air with sticky warmth, the cold tang of iron from old tools left in barns and fields where bonfires once blazed, the musk of hay bales stacked high, dry and brittle, carrying the echo of harvests long past. You hear it too, the rustle of leaves tumbling across cobblestones, the hollow whistle of wind slipping through bare branches, the crackle of flames steady, rhythmic, as though the fire itself is breathing. A dog barking somewhere in the distance, a child's laughter fading into the fog, the low toll of a bell, its sound rolling across hills and valleys, calling not the living, but the dead. You see shadows moving, not frightening, not hostile, simply passing, figures in cloaks walking ancient roads, children in masks darting between houses, villagers gathering around fires, their faces half lit, their eyes glinting in the glow, a woman holding a lantern in one hand, a basket of apples in the other, a man whispering a prayer at the edge of a graveyard, all of them layered together, sharing the same night. You feel the ground beneath you. Damp leaves soften with every step, their edges curling, their veins brittle. The soil is rich, carrying the scent of rain, of rot, of growth and decay entwined. Once it was trampled by cattle driven through bonfires. Once it was brushed by robes trailing through churchyards. Now it carries sneakers, boots and costumes, trailing fabric through suburban streets. Always the same ground, always the same earth. You taste it too. The smoke of bonfires clings to your tongue, bitter and sweet, all at once. The sugar of candy melts, bright and sharp, leaving its ghost long after it is gone. A sip of cider warms your throat, spiced with cinnamon, tart with apple. Centuries collapse into a single breath, the taste of autumn, the taste of ritual, the taste of night. And in all of it, you sense the presence of time itself, moving not as a line, but as a circle. The Celts felt this turn when their fires lit the fields. The Victorians felt it in parlors where mirrors glowed with candlelight. The 1980s felt it in neon-lit suburbs, in plastic masks and VHS tape. And you feel it now in the glow of jack-o'-lanterns, in the hum of haunted houses, in the endless stream of stories whispered through screens. The smells, the sounds, the sights, the tastes, the touch of the cold air against your skin, all of them fold into one. They are the body of Halloween, ever shifting, ever changing, yet always the same. You walk slowly forward, the mist rising around you. It curls close, wrapping you in silence, carrying the weight of centuries in its chill. And as you breathe the smoke of burning leaves one last time, you understand, Halloween is not a memory. It is a living presence, always waiting for you in the autumn dark. You stand in the quiet of the night. The flames have burned low, the laughter has faded. The streets are empty now, and the mist is still. But listen closely, and you hear it. A heartbeat, steady and calm, rising beneath the silence. It is not your own. It is the heartbeat of Halloween itself. It beats in the fires of the Celts, in the bells of the Middle Ages, in the whispers of witches by the fire, in the parlor games of the Victorians, in the neon glow of the 1980s, in the haunted houses of today, always there, always waiting. You feel your body grow heavy, your breath slows, deep and calm. The night wraps around you like a cloak. The veil settles gently, closing once more until the next turning of the year. And as you drift, you realize, Halloween is not just a night on the calendar. It is a season, a memory, a dream. It is the story of every shadow, every flame, every mask. It lives in the laughter, in the fear, in the silence, and it lives in you. So close your eyes now. Let the smoke of the fires fade. Let the glow of the lanterns dim. Let the voices of centuries soften into silence. The night is yours. The season is eternal, and Halloween waits for you still. In the quiet dark. The world grows softer now. The lantern light fades into memory. The mist stretches wide, covering the fields, the forests, the streets. The last embers of the fire glow faintly, then dim. Ash drifts upward, weightless, dissolving into the air. The sound is barely there, only the faintest crackle, like a heartbeat slowing into rest. The night settles, no footsteps, no voices, only the quiet of the season, holding everything in stillness. A breeze moves once through the trees, carrying with it the scent of wood smoke and fallen leaves. It passes gently, then is gone. The fog thickens, wrapping the world in silence. Shadows fold into one another, until even the shapes of the past cannot be told apart. All becomes one. Fire, mask, laughter, prayer, all becomes night. And Halloween waits there, not loud, not frightening, not gone, just waiting, quietly, for the wheel to turn again. The silence deepens, the season rests, and so do you. Thank you for listening to Whispering Tomes, obscure histories for sleep and relaxation. Until next time, may your nights be calm, your dreams gentle, and your candles burn softly against the dark.